خب سلام دوستان، امیدوارم حالتون خوب باشه. توی این قسمت از ویدیو دارم الان منتظرم که اینترویو با شرکت پادپینت داشته باشم. همینجوری هم که میبینید موام رو خودم کوتاه کردم به خاطر اینکه همه جا قرنطینه است، حتی سلمونی هم باز نیست. این آخرین اینترویوش هست و تستش رو هم قبول شدم. تستش هم به قول معروف ریاکت لاراول و ویو بود.
Hello.
Hi.
Are you alright?
How are you? Thank you, I'm good.
Clem.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm going to have Andrea and Kino who are going to join soon, shortly.
Sure, no worries.
Here they are. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. You can come here. There we go.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. How do you find the lockdown?
Well, actually, I cut my hair because there's nowhere open, so it took me 1.5 hours.
I don't mind it easier. Yeah. Yeah, I'm tempted to do the same, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really hard, but it's also boring because I'm living on my own. It makes the pain double, you know?
Oh, no, yeah. So, you're not flat sharing or anything, you live on your own.
No, actually, it's, I want to go and see my friends because they are living close by, but they're all scared kind of. They always stay at home. They're not even coming out.
Well, I think it's a safe option. Like, it's quite bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. How are you guys finding it?
keep your friends than dying, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a rough time, to be honest. It's a weird period, but
Exactly, yeah.
Cool. Shall we introduce ourselves quickly? Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
of course, go for it.
So I'll start. I'm Clem, tech lead at Pop-Point, and yeah, I've been here for about a year now, and yeah, I'm managing other guys in my squad. We've got 2 squads in our software department team. I'm managing one of the squads, and Andrea, who is here, is managing the other one. And then Kino is, well, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Go for it, Andrea.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm Andrea. I'm also a lead developer. I also have a squad to manage, and I'm at the point for about 2 years.
Okay.
5.
And I'm Pino, I'm the director of software. I'm seeing I'm looking after software, data, product, QA, and Salesforce at the moment. I've been here 3 years now, so still enjoying it so far.
Okay, nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Hassan, actually. You guys know me, but I work for a company called Anyvan, which is a removal company as a front-end developer. Sometimes I work as a back-end developer. So mostly front-end developer at the moment.
Okay. How long have you been in the industry for?
I started working since 2015. Basically, actually after 2015 I started working. But before that, it was university and side projects and things like that. So it wasn't like industrial experience.
Right. Okay. Cool. Actually, yeah, this will lead to our next set of questions around your CD. I can see that the haircut is definitely different.
Yeah, I miss my hair.
So yeah, it's actually a good point about this front and back end switch kind of. We're just wondering. So lately, you've been switching back from full stack back to front end only at Anyvan. Is it? Can you tell us a bit about it? Like why?
Yeah.
Is it?
I have been working with PHP for a long time, but then I started switching to Ruby and Ruby on Rails because it was kind of PHP was falling behind. Then I started joining to TalkTalk and this company as a backend developer. So I was working for them as a backend developer, but their backend was kind of was built by a company called Infosys. So they didn't want us to inherit the code. So I was about to leave there because they wanted me to work as a only backend developer in a team of all front end developer. Then I started switching from backend to front end because they were trying to migrate from Angular JS to some React and MobX stuff. Then since then I started working as a front end developer. Even in this company, I joined as a front end developer because we are rebuilding the website from scratch, and is so it's halfly done. It's going to be ended by June. But I'm responsible to kind of getting the design from UX and UI and implement them, and then later integrate them with the APIs. Is built by backend. So sometimes I switch to backend because it makes me familiar with the backend code and what APIs they're building.
Okay, interesting. So how many people, is it like another team full of backend devs that are doing the API, and then you just
the current team that we have in Anyone is so 12 people are backend. Actually, 8 people are backend developer, including us. We are 4 front end developers. Me and the other guy are from we are working in the office, but the rest of them, 2 people, are working in Hungary or remote. So 4 of us are front end developer. Rest of us are backend developers. They are trying to build the APIs and also trying to hire more kind of front end developers because they still need front end developers. Team is 12, but even Talk was a Spotify kind of squad. We were kind of 12 people, but they had UX and UI and tester and everybody in the same team.
Interesting. And the last questions will be around more your personal projects. So it's quite a lot, which is good. I mean, but
2 of them are mine. 2 of them are mine. I have 2 side projects, which makes me be up to date in a projects that in technologies that I really work on. When I joined Anyone, I was familiar with Laravel and Vue, for example, and I didn't know Nox. Now I know Nox.js, and I try to implement them in my side projects. I have like a video online training library which I built for Persian people, and then another one which is I earn money from it, but it's kind of like dating website for them as well. And then rest of them, it was just they were kind of my clients. Like some of them are my friends, so it was like a accountant website for my friends, and one of my friends was trying to build a gym website. I built for him with Laravel and Vue. It was like it's not a lot of people joined, but they around maybe less than 700 people joined the gym.
And is it like, because I can see that this, for example, Gym London in 2019 is the same kind of it was the same time as the front end role you had currently Anyone. So is it like to complete because you felt like you were not doing any Laravel and Vue, you were like, I really want to do back end stuff, and then you were trying to keep up with it, or?
No, I'm familiar with Laravel. I know I love Laravel more than any other framework, but because weekends is the time, like Saturday and Sunday is the time that I usually don't go out, like clubbing and stuff. I stay at home now, up to being up to date. So I picked up this project only working on weekends, like Saturday and Sunday. So I treated them the same because I was alone, but I usually meet them and write down the requirements and start doing the projects. So it took me maybe more like around 6 months to do that on my own.
Okay. So what would you say is your strongest language or strongest stack, or the thing you enjoy more working with, and the thing you actually prefer?
I love cleanliness of code. That's why I think my strongest. I started with PHP, with vanilla PHP, not like with any frameworks. And the project that I had, which was Parsclick, was a final year project in uni. It was written with vanilla PHP, and then I think PHP is my kind of language strongest point, but also with JavaScript, I'm getting really good now because after ECMAScript 6, I tried to learn most of the JavaScript syntax and how everything works. Going to MD and read the documentation. I think Vue Laravel is my strongest point. I think Nox even makes it easier. It has like nest routing and it makes it tries to, it makes us to work with Vuex and decorators and automatic routing and makes it serverless or SPA, however we want.
Okay, I was about actually to ask you, like Nux, if you could explain what's the advantage of using what it is and what's the advantage.
Yeah,
so
it's
based on Next.js, but yeah, what is it exactly and what's the advantage?
Yeah, Nox actually it adds working with. I couldn't say like you can work with TypeScript and Vue in the same time, but it makes to work with decorators with TypeScript because it has I think Nox property decorators, which makes it kind of like React and Angular to work. It has like, if you want to use props, like you say add props and then you can use it. And also I think it makes the application serverless, and then you don't have to deal with the other advantages. You don't have to deal with the nested routing. So you have lots of nested routing you want to go into. File folder structure is another advantage. For example, if you want to build a page, you start creating, for example, admin, and then /index, it will create the route for you. Then the other one is...
So it's like a layer of abstraction on top of like...
Exactly. The other thing is I love middlewares in Laravel. So if you want to, for example, which I think authentication in front end is kind of, if you think about it, it's a bit of pain for most of the developers, but they have like middlewares, so you can use that. Because we are trying to create 3 different dashboard for admins and customers and drivers so we have 3 middlewares in front end, so we can use that. It makes it like Laravel, and I think these are the good advantage. It makes us use the solid principle easily. Like we create models and interfaces with TypeScript, but also I think it makes create models for APIs to work easily with the APIs.
Okay, cool. Do you want to go on the technical test feedback, maybe, Andrea, and carry on with that?
Yeah. I can start. So, how did you find the test?
I looked at the test, to be honest, in the beginning, and I thought this is easy. And then I started working on it, and it was like when I came to the charge section, I said, no, this is not as easy as I thought. So it wasn't, because you needed 2 different routes for charging and stop charging, and I thought maybe if I want to update the charge, then I would use the update controller for stopping the charge. But I loved it. I spent a little bit more time on it because I wanted to extract those SVGs and try to come up with the same design.
So you were worried about the front end?
Mostly, yeah, because I wanted to. Because I started working for Anyvan, and we have like designers even complaining about 10 pixels margin difference. And it just, makes me sometimes crazy. But that's what I wanted to, be a bit familiar to what you guys wanted.
Okay. Is there anything that you remember that you would do differently, or like for future work, for example?
Yeah, I think I would write just unit testing for front end, first of all, and for styling, I know it's a component styling that we have components on the underneath the view components, but I would use SAS also for that, and trying to use BEM CSS style with SAS. And for backend, I would use interface for unit and charges to have contracts for these. I would use Nox as well to take advantage of features that it provides us. But other than that, I think that's what I would do.
Actually, can you explain a bit more on the two things you just brought in that are quite interesting actually? You talked about interfaces. First of all, why would you use the interface for in that test, for instance, or in that situation, or the scalability of it, maybe? And second question would be about Nox and the useful features you mentioned. What kind of features would you use from it?
So we have units and charge here in front of me. I think these are models, but for these, I don't think we need any interface for that. But if there was a file and folder structure to use another service, that I would use interface for. But I don't think I would use interface for this particular, because we have two models only, charge and unit. Nox for front end, I would take advantage of the routing, because I wrote so I decoupled the front end and back end. So we have a front folder which has source in it, and then it has a router, and I have only one route, which is home. But I'm saying if it gets more complicated, because I know the companies are not building a small project, so I would probably think of using those technologies to make it easier for us in a long run.
And when you talk about the routes, actually, why don't you using the routing system of Laravel directly? Do you think it's too limited versus Nox, or?
No, we have. So what I did for the application was creating a SPA. So SPA has one route, which is index,
okay.
And then that route actually directs to front end, which is view, and then view creates the routing for front end, which is SPA.
That's actually one of our questions. So normally what we ask during this test, so we'll go through our feedback, talk about the test, but normally this test is supposed to be a test where we can see where the candidates have to build an API that will be serving as a backend for any kind of application, and then a website that is consuming the API and behaves with components and stuff using Vue or React or whatever. You decided to take another approach where you did an SPA, a single page application, where it's just one app consuming its own API. So can you explain why? And was it because the Docker thing was a bit of a struggle, or is it something you're more familiar with, or you wanted to do more front end than, I don't know, use only the routing from?
Well, sure. Well, I could think of two approaches, which was typical request and response with front end, back end, and the other one would be using Laravel and also view components within the resources. The last approach I took was SPA, which was having one route which was index and providing the APIs to front end to consume that with Ajax calls. Docker was kind of I couldn't set up with the commands that you gave me because I don't know why. Then that's why I think that's what I took that approach. I thought you guys want the same approach, but that's what we're doing in the current one as well. We have like different front end and back end repositories, but then Yarn build will actually compiles and runs everything, which makes it compiles and chunks the assets, and it puts it to the public directory which applications can use. So that's what I took this approach. But the API calls are in API sections and
Okay. If I just move. So what we liked about the test was it seemed restful. It seems like we kind of follow API specs we give you. It seems like you managed to produce like a finished product that kind of looked similar to what we expected. So that's very good. A few instructions that were kind of helpful. And you've used the route model bindings. Do you know what this is? Yeah.
Yes. So it's just you type in the unit, for example, and the Laravel recognizes when you want to inject the model and start using it, so you don't have to instantiate the class.
Okay. What is it doing behind the scenes? Do you know?
So it actually not familiar underneath, but I think it matches the keyword that you typed in a route, and it sees if it's the same as the model that you want to use, and you type in it. It uses contracts like interfaces to instantiate the object, but I'm not 100% sure.
So what happens behind the scenes is because you're defining a route with you write about the keyword that's used, and it's defined essentially on Laravel. The model object, so the model class, has a attribute hidden that is defining what should be the keyword used for the path in the route.
Yeah.
So for example, if you've got a unit class, it would be units all lowercase by default. It's plural version of the actual object. It's exactly the same name as the table name you have in the database anyway. And then the ID, the whatever identifier you have in the route will be automatically grabbed, and then the query, it will query the database to try to fetch it from the database. And if it doesn't find it, it will throw a 404 automatically. That's what happens behind the scenes. And you use migrations factories and see this, that's kind of out of the box. But it seemed that you used it anyway, so that was good. Then on the cons part, we had a bit of a mixed feeling about the SPA approach, because that's not really what we asked for. But okay, fine. We wanted to see ideally what you could do with two decoupled code bases, clearly decoupled, two applications, one consuming each other. But it's fine. Business logic on the API is very simplistic and lightweight. Like, for example, what happens if you want to start a charge on a unit that is already charging? Or
exactly.
Validation in general, we didn't see any validation.
Yes. Yes, I actually thought of the validation last, but I think one of the things that I would change about the application was when you basically start charging, then in the unit we have a status saying it's charging or it's available. So if it's available, you shouldn't be able to charge. So that's what I would try to create a request class to check that, to see how if the unit is basically not available, you don't have to even go through the charging, or probably a policy. But then that's what I didn't thought of. Maybe I thought of it last minute, but I didn't think of it.
Okay, I see. And then the status handling. So you've used only strings, right, to identify available or charging.
I would use enum as well. Enums in.
How would you do it?
But I thought strings are more. More flexible than enums in MySQL, because enums, then you have to create another migration if boss comes and says we need another status. But then strings can be created in a class, and then can be extended rather than in a database kind of level. But I was using enums a long time ago, but then because in a long run, then boss wanted to change it. For example, I was in any one company, then the boss says we need another status, then I have to go and create another migration to do that. And then the SQL MySQL generates an error if the enums is not there. So that's what I didn't approach the enums kind of approach.
Okay.
The other approach would be probably creating another class for statuses with key values, or that's what I would do.
Okay. You've also used like some weird HTTP status codes like 501.
Yeah.
Can you explain why? And also, go for it for this one.
So I think that's what I for the HTTP controller that I had was So Symfony has this class called write HTTP responses. So I know 500s are service status errors. So I researched what kind of code is the perfect choice, and then 501 was I think the right status. I'm not really remember the HTTP response.
But it's not yet implemented.
Is it?
As far as I remember, yes.
Yeah.
These status codes. I googled that quickly. 501.
Yeah. Or not implemented.
Yes, not implemented.
Okay. Not yet implemented. So.
Sorry, it's not yet. I just added that it's not implemented.
I was going to come up with the 500, but then 501 I thought is the right response code to give it. But I provided
the server doesn't support that functionality at all. Do you think it's correct functionality? As you know, in your test, it seems to be much more of a sort of edge case scenario. But the functionality itself should happen anyway, if you see what I mean. It's just the condition that you met at that time didn't match what you expected, which is more validation, in my opinion.
That's what I did was actually I'm checking to see if the status is actually available. If it's not available, then update it. So when I say if unit updates, status is available, it's going to update and it gives you a Boolean. So if it's not, then it will says, okay, I can't do that because it's not available. That's what I did. So it gives you error at the end.
This is why I'm mentioning, the validation more than the server error, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it's much more the conditions aren't met for this functionality to happen, but the functionality is implemented, it works, right?
Yeah. So validation is the right approach. Yeah, right.
Exactly. So that's the comment I had on this one. Sorry.
That's okay.
Also, there's something in the API specs called, there's a custom header that actually we add x-entity. Have you not seen it, or did you decide to not implement it because it was too complex? Or
no, I haven't seen it. Where did you guys add it?
It's in the API spec. Essentially, it's kind of hidden, but it's like somewhere where you have to implement the ID of the entity, the object model that is supposed to be modified, so the client can know what's the ID of the thing that just created or updated or something.
Oh, in a Swagger.
Yes.
I haven't seen it. I set up the Docker. What happened was I tried to run the command that you gave me to set up the container and everything, and because I couldn't.
You look at the API specs.
I did look at it, but then I screenshot because I wanted to remove the containers and it started from scratch. So I screenshot the APIs and I started working on it. I might have missed it, but I haven't seen that. I don't remember it, to be honest.
That's fine. And quick question: have you used Swagger in the past for APIs?
Swagger, yeah, that's what anyone uses at the moment. So they backend provides the APIs, then front end we go, and I usually go and see if the API is available. I try to implement it. If not, then I create a card. They trying to create another API call, and so we use that at the moment.
Okay. Do you ever build any API?
I'm sorry? Which one? Hello? He froze.
Hello?
Hi. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear you? Okay, sorry. Have you ever built any APIs in the past?
I used Laravel resources to create APIs for the side projects that I'm working on. And that's...
You didn't use it in the tests, or did you?
No, I didn't use Laravel resources for this.
Right. Because you didn't know at this time.
No, I know Laravel resources, but I just didn't use that in this section.
Okay. Andrew, do you have a question?
No, I think on tests, no, we're clear. We can proceed with the questions on the other sections. Maybe Kino wants to.
No, just a quick note about that for your own learning, actually. For Swagger, I'll post a link in this chat, so let me know if you see it. You must see it now. It's editor.swagger.io.
Oh, yeah.
So in that, for instance, you could have just picked the actual JSON that we use on our end in the test, even if the Docker is dead. They basically copy and paste it directly in there. And it would do, it supports YAML or JSON, sorry.
Yeah.
So you can import whatever you'd like on that, and you could see the actual thing there, to be honest.
Yeah, specification that we.
Yes, the specs, yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had... Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go for it.
I haven't had the experience to build with Swagger to APIs, but I have experience with consuming them, like looking at it as a front-end developer and trying to use that.
Yeah.
That's why.
Do you know what is for you a good API? What would you qualify a good API?
API that is fast and is not really, it doesn't have a lot of, is not really long, is fast. It actually provides you with a good response, even if you have an error. It's for human, basically. It gives you an error. You can actually show it to the customers or consumer, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you know anything about RESTful APIs? Does it
RESTful.
ring any bell to you?
Yeah.
Can you explain it?
So it's RESTful APIs. We have get, post, patch, and delete, which is basically it. In a front you can actually call these. If you want to update something, then you use patch or put. Then if you want to get information, you use get, and then you want to create something, then you use post and delete, and use destroy and delete.
Okay, so those are the verbs, right? They're the verbs of the APIs, but do you know why we call it RESTful? What does that mean?
Amazing.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, much better.
So the question you asked was test coverage. So test coverage means you can cover up all the methods and functions you basically have in your components to the level that is acceptable. Usually it says 80% or more. But then you don't have to test other frameworks or functionalities from libraries, third-party libraries, but then write a test that it covers up all the functionalities that you have. Which to be honest, in this company that I'm working on, we don't do that because the CEO wants the projects to go live fast. But then
so you don't do testing, or you don't do testing?
We do testing, but then we had like a meeting because they missed the deadline. It was like in September. Then we had discussions with the other developers that we write only unit test the methods and not trying to test everything. So
do you know different kind of tests, like what kind of tests you have in the test world, like different types of tests?
Yeah, it's I think unit testing, feature testing, end-to-end testing. We have integration testing. That's what I can't think of. We're doing a lot of unit testing at the moment. For backend, usually for the side project, I've done unit testing and feature testing. But then the company that I'm working on, end-to-end testing are done with another tester who's actually writing all down with Cypress.
Okay. Do you guys have any other questions?
No.
Please.
Okay. Yeah, just maybe one about mobile development. Have you ever done anything mobile-wise?
I have done not industrial, but then I created a Swift app only after uni, and then I'm trying to learn React Native, or which is I try to learn Vue Native, but then I came I went to a blog that said everything compiles down with React Native. Then I'm trying to learn now React Native, but it's something that I do it in my spare time. I haven't done it a lot of mobile development.
Okay, cool. Interesting. Yeah, I think that's it, really. Do you have questions actually for us?
Sure. I wanted to ask, what are you guys building, and what tech stack are you guys using at the moment?
So we're using a lot of different technologies. So we've got two main stacks. The first one is PHP based, so Laravel based, with PHP 7.1 at the moment, with Laravel mainly 5.4 that we should probably be upgraded at some point. And then this is our kind of we use it mainly for backend services. And then we've got Node.js with TypeScript as well, which is another stack that we use for other services, but with more dynamic aspects. We use also Node.js with lambdas for all the comms that come into our system. Because have you ever used lambdas before?
Lambda, AWS, I've used it a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we use them.
And then I was going to ask, speaking of DevOps, what kind of technologies you using in production?
So DevOps wise, so everything's on AWS. We've got all the PHP stacks are deployed using Chef, which is a Ruby based tool. It's used to do infrastructure as code, and it deploys all our PHP based projects, I would say, products. And then we've got Travis for all the CI stuff for every project. And then we've got Code Build on AWS to deploy Lambda projects mainly, and one Docker projects as well, which is running a Node.js server with Express. So that's pretty much it. Then everything is behind load balancing, everything is behind Route 53 on AWS. We've got API Gateway as well for our main API that is used by units and mobile applications. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, we're trying to move towards more. We've got a few Docker things and stuff, but we need to move more like full on into this kind of stuff. Docker infrastructure as code with something else than Chef, probably Terraform. We've tried in the past CloudFormation. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of tech stack, I would say.
Okay. Did you actually set the app? We also have the app.
Yeah, we have App Center for the app, yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, I missed the app. So yeah, the mobile application is another stack. It's React Native. We're using App Center to deploy it, and Fastlane as well. And for the front end, we've got one single page app, which is the checkout when customers go to buy a unit, and this consumes our ordering tool, which are ordering backend API essentially. So it's like a React single page application. So it's React Native. So we have nothing like, we don't have Next or Nuxt. We don't have it.
Well, you don't need to. I mean, I understand this company is using it, but I think in general, it adds more complexity. They even use for something like PogJS for templating, which is it's like so many people love it.
PogJS is what comes with Express nowadays when you install Express out of the box, which is, I mean, it's okay. It's just, to me, like you need to differentiate where you use a tool like for the sake of using it or because it's actually fit for purpose. Like when you compare Express.js with Pugs and all the stuff that comes with it, and when you compare it to Laravel, well, there's a lot of similarities in terms of what they can do. The difference in which tool you can pick is, okay, what do I need for this particular scenario, this particular project, or this particular need, rather than jump on the latest cool tech that you've heard on Stack Overflow and then try it out and think that it's going to solve all your problems. It's rarely the case.
Exactly.
On our side, on React, we use Redux for that kind of.
Oh, you use Redux,
Yeah. We use Redux on that. We use TypeScript on Node over JavaScript, basically to make sure that we have the highest qualities. Yeah.
Okay.
Anywhere.
And then I was going to ask. It's not a question, but I looked at the photo of you. I think you've done a. Have you had a contribution on Laravel? Like a contribution on Laravel framework? Claim, yeah. Because that's familiar to me. I've seen it somewhere.
Yeah, I did 2 contributions. I think there are still more.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like one was actually very small. It's still there, I think. The other one was like, I mean, anyone can contribute. You will see your contribution get rejected a lot.
Of course, yeah. Mine got rejected a lot of time. I had only one.
I had 2 contributions over the last 5 years, maybe, and maybe got, I would say, 10 or 15 rejected.
Mine is more, actually. Mine is more than that. They're really tough. Even with the documentation, you have to change the documentation style and stuff. Thanks, guys. That's all my question.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys. Have a good day. Stay safe. Bye.
You too.
Bye.
You too. Bye.